Mac Games and Comics. Check them out on Facebook and visit their site at merrymacgames.com.
What's up YouTube, Evan from Epic Duel Time here. I wanted to do a quick profile on the Harpie deck that I played in this week's Duel video. I figured maybe some people would ask about it, want to know what I was running in it. It's kind of a basic build, nothing too crazy out of the ordinary for anybody who's seen kind of existing builds. This isn't anything I'm looking to get competitive with, though I do see this deck has some competitive viability. I don't know that I want to play it for any major competition anytime soon, but it's certainly something to play around with. It's very, very fun. I really like it. I've been enjoying playing it the past week. I realized I had most of the cards for it, so I just bought the rest of it and threw it together. It's really fun. I like it a lot. I played it in this week's video just for fun, and did pretty well today, so just toying around with it. There's some things I'm going to change, and I'll go over that too, but all in all, I'll just go over the profile. 3 Lady 1. Lady 1 is probably the best of any of your, Harpie Lady options. It's better than Cyber Harpie because she's more consistent. She gives you more attack point boost, especially when you team her up next to like a Harpie Queen. That's putting Queen at 22. That's pretty crazy. You're getting over almost any of your problem cards. And that's really all this deck is about, is solving problems. This deck is incredibly good at solving problems. I'll get to that in a second. Next, 3 Harpie Queen, Killer Searcher, 19 beater, Harpie card, it's good. 3 Channeler, self-explanatory. Double Dancer. I know there are some builds that are running 1, some builds that run 2, I don't know. I really like running 2 simply because she makes a lot of cool combos and plays with Hunting Ground, Divine Wind, which I do run, and Channeler, where she can bounce herself and you could like switch her out for a different one in your hand or resummon her back in attack mode. She does a lot of different unique plays. Next, 2 Harpie's Pet Dragon. I'm not even a real fan of this card in general at all. I wish I didn't have to run it at all, but unfortunately the consistency of being able to get into Dracosac is way too great for me to not run it. At the same time, I can't just run 1 because if you dead draw it, your channelers have lost a lot of their potency, so you need to run 2. And I do dead draw this like it's my job. It does nothing if it's in your hand, it does nothing if it's in your graveyard. It's only really good if you can find a way to get De Gusto Emerald out and put it back in. That's really all it's good for. That being said, when you do get it working with Channeler, it's very impressive. Next, 1 Summoner Monk. This is another thing I'm toying around with. I'm not sure if I like it. It could get axed. It might stay. I wouldn't run 2. My issue with a lot of functions of this deck is that it's very susceptible to max C. A lot of your big plays, you can go for game half the time because of how nutty your combos get, but you're going to get max seed. And the problem with doing that is once you get max seed, you have to stop, and half your plays are too weak to stop on, like Summoner Monk. I don't really want to monk and then leave something out of the board and not be able to follow up on it. That's Monk's biggest weakness. So I say, it's a great card. I like it a lot. It's very cool if you can get that Hysteric Sign playoff. It's also cool because I run 1 Zephyros, and you can get the Zephy and then you can go into a Master Key Beetle, which is kind of neat. And it also gets your Zephyros all set up for you. I don't know. It's kind of neat. Still trying around with the idea. Definitely keeping Zephy in. Zephy is really cool because of Hysteric Sign. You can activate it to get Elegant Egotist, then bounce the Hysteric Sign for later back to your hand and summon Zephy. A lot of cool stuff there. And then 2 Mexi because it's really standard for the format. Okay, spells. 3 Hunting Ground. I can't really justify not running 3. It's just it's really good, especially with Dancer being able to just summon, pop, bounce, resummon, pop. And if things go wrong, you have it pop itself and you're done. It's a really aggressive way of clearing back row. It doesn't provide a ton of attack bonus, but you're really just doing it to clear out your opponent's back row. It's also really good for the format because with all the dragons running around and Dragoonity, there's so many dragon ravines. You can play it over the ravine. Now one of your biggest threats is gone. If you're field spell heavy, you can beat out their field spells. I have a consistent way of getting into them just as much as they do. If anything more, it's searchable off Sign, searchable off Queen. Really good. Hysteric Sign, I run 3. I wouldn't imagine not running 3. It's just one of the greatest search cards I've read in a long time. Very, very consistent. Very cool ways of being able to get it off. Whether it's pitching it for a Wing Blast, pitching it for a Hysteric Party, pitching it for a Summoner Monk, pitching it, blowing it up with something, all sorts of different things. Double Divine Wind of Mist Valley. I really like this card, especially with Harpie Dancer. Obviously, that's one of the greatest reasons to run it. If you can get the Channeler play with Dancer and this off, you're looking at pretty much having game. It depends if you have another Harpie in your hand or not, and what else you have in your hand. But you're pretty much looking at game. This really cranks out monsters when you've got a Channeler Dancer play going on. That being said, it's not all too consistent. I'm kind of disappointed with that. I look for a little more consistency in a deck. But the problem is that it does so well, and then sometimes it falls short when you don't have Channeler or Dancer. So there's that. Speaking of consistency, running 2 Duality just to kind of bolster up, digging into the deck, trying to find the combo pieces I need. 1 Elegant Egotist. You only need 1 because Hysteric Sign will get it out of the graveyard for you, which I think is crazy. I didn't know that till this week. And 1 MST. The X of 41, I just felt like it wasn't worth cutting MST. Too good. Next for traps, I run 2 Hysteric Party. The only thing I would run is another one because that card's insane and I didn't realize how often I would use it. I thought this might be a little more inconsistent. Nope, it is exactly as consistent as I want it to be. This card's crazy. You can get the one that you discard. You just have to have another one engraved when you start activating it, but past discarding 1 card, which is hardly a big deal, it's pretty impressive. There's nothing really bad about this card. Yeah, it has to stay on the field to keep them alive, but if you seize them off at the main phase 2, you don't have any problems. 2 Vanity's Emptiness. It's probably the best control card for the format right now. Nixes out your opponent's special summons while you can kind of hold off, build your field, build your hand, get ready, and then just be rid of this however you need to be rid of it, and go off. This deck has plenty of ways of being able to do that. Double Icarus attack. This card obviously speaks for itself when I say how crazy it is. There are players who run 3. I think that's fine. I like 2 just because, I don't know, I wouldn't want to draw copies of this without having a winged beast if I was just top decking or something. So I run 2, but that's simply my preference. I would understand running 3, and maybe I'll consider it. Double Wing Blast. This is another card that's really defined the format. Really rounded it out. It's such a good card. Undoes and disrupts your opponent's plays. Can pitch Hysteric Sign, etc. 1 Compulse. 1 Magical Hats. For people who don't know why Harpie players are running this at all, when you obviously you're trying to save a monster during your opponent's battle phase. So you pick any 2 spells or traps. You pick Hysteric Signs, and when they get destroyed during that end phase, one of them will trigger. You can't use 2 in the same turn, but one of them will trigger. 1 Torrential, again, generally your monster presence is relatively low, so Torrential is pretty solid, and 1 Warning. I'm going to go over the extra. I'm not doing anything involving side. Side decking is really standard. You guys saw me side like a debunk. Iron Walls, things like that are pretty basic. 1 Lightning Chidori, I'm going to run 2, so I'll tell you what I'll cut. I was running 2 Ice Beast Zeraphim. I would go double Chidori. This card's amazing. This card's so good. It's so consistent. Gets you out of so many problems. It bounces a face down, bounces a face up. It's so good. Returning them to the deck too. Next, Lavalval Chain. Diggers to Emerald. Dweller, Maestroke, Key Beetle, that's just for that Summoner Monk play. Gaga Cowboy, Harpie's Pet Phantasmal Dragon. I don't ever understand why I would need to go into a second one. Maybe I would, I don't know. 1 Queen Dragoon Jin, just because if I have maybe a straggling Channeler and a couple level 4s, I can go into this, bring back a Pet Dragon, go into Draco Sack from there. Maybe that can happen. I don't know if that happens. Double Draco Sack because I have room for it. Big Eye, Guy Dragon. And in terms of siding, guys, just side like normal people. I mean, the only thing I side, like, I'd say, like, side MSTs, Debunks, Iron Walls. Curse Seal, the Forbidden Spell, is really good in this deck because you can pitch your sign for it, and then you'll get it in the end phase, and you'll be able to stop an opponent's future spell playing as well as the one that you just stopped. So it's really good. Alright, that's all. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. If you have any suggestions, that's pretty good too. I have some ideas of where I'm going with this. I don't know what I'm doing exactly, but this is not my primary or even secondary focus, so I'm not too worried about it. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and keep Duel in America.